What's up, everybody? Well, it's been 2 weeks here in Istanbul, and I've just had a total of two conversations in English. Once with a German guy in a mosque, and just a couple hours ago with a Libyan girl who's been living here for 7 years, who contacted me on like a Meet Friends WhatsApp group. Um, it's lonely, to say the least, and this whole interview thing, which I had planned on doing, is not going to plan at all because there's absolutely nobody to talk to here. So, in the meanwhile, I think I'm just going to show you where I live and give you a tour of Istanbul, mainly Beyoğlu, which is the little region I'm living in, and then I'm going to take a walk up to Istiklal Street, which is sort of like the Times Square or Piccadilly Circus of Istanbul, and then through some of the weird little back streets that I've discovered here too. So let's go. So this is the view from my balcony off of my bedroom, and I should probably show you this during the day, but at all hours of the night, like what's so strange about Istanbul to me is that they stay up so late here, but the first call to prayer is at 4:45 in the morning, and that's broadcast on loudspeakers from the mosques, and you can't escape it. And so I hear kids, like young kids, and dogs and people talking until 2, 3 in the morning every night of the week. And tonight is Friday, so it's going to be especially lively, but I mean, people just stay up late here. This is one of my favorite buildings over here. There's always a lady hanging out of the window over here screaming at her kids down the street. What I imagine like the Bronx in the 70s would be like. So this is my little entryway to the apartment building. And then you can either hit this little red button or this button here. That unlocks the door. And this is the main little street. And I'm semi-obsessed with these buildings. I don't think any of them are new, but there's definitely some that are either newer or just better maintained than the rest. There's one of my favorite buildings up here, not too far. It looks like something like a set from Disneyland or something like that, like a haunted mansion type place. There is graffiti absolutely everywhere in Istanbul too. The street's really starting to grow on me. It's actually surprisingly calm right now. There's usually an unbelievable amount of traffic. It's just before 11 o'clock right now. So this is the uphill path I take to get to the street every day. Istanbul is strangely uphill in every direction, just like your parents or grandparents might have told you how they walk to school. I want to do a cat count too, so there's cat number 1. Psst, 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 psst. So there's one cat. There's going to be lots of old men sitting around. There's going to be way too many old men to count, so I'm just going to count cats for right now. 2, 3. Oh, hold on. This is the house I love, or the apartment building I love. It is so wild to me how burnt out and bombed out this building looks. This is the underpass that I go through every day. You can see tagged up everywhere. By the way, this is what Istanbul considers a 2-lane road. You'll see, well, actually this little bit right here, it actually splits off into 2 lanes. But I'll show you up ahead that just right there where people are driving past, you'll see cars going in both directions of that little road that I just walked up. And there's barely enough room for one car, let alone 2, but somehow they make it happen. Coming up here pretty soon, this is something you'll see, I wouldn't say a lot, but it's pretty common, especially on the weekends, is women with their kids out on the street all hours of the night asking for money. Very, very sad. There's also gypsy children that are forced to bring bags of rotten food, like trash bags full of rotten food, and sit right in the middle of a footpath and look as pathetic as possible in order to garner sympathy and get some money. And notice that parents are always watching from not too far away. Now here's a classic example. Total chaos. So they only have enough room for one car on the road here. So if one car stops, that holds up the entire production. And right here at this little intersection, there'll be cars coming from over there, here, and you just have to sort of Frogger it your way across the street. And they'll stop, but they'll just miss you by inches. So just up here is going to be called Istiklal Street, and that's where things ramp up pretty quickly. This is, I mean, just an endless crush of humanity, and I will show you that right here. Actually, right back here, this is an Irish pub. I don't think I've ever seen a time of day after maybe 6 p.m. where every single one of those seats there wasn't completely full. So very, very popular place. So this is one of the funniest things to me about this place is this could never ever work in the United States. So here is a very, very busy walking path, and cars just bust right through the crowd, and there's no sort of rhyme or reason to it at all. You just have to not hit or get hit, and there is just absolutely no way this could work in the United States, because already in the United States, if there's a free pathway for a car to people who are mentally ill will take advantage of that and just mow people down. Here, there's cars just splitting right through the crowd, and this happens every block. There's a little side street like this, and they just come right through the crowd. And you can see this is not a small crowd. There's thousands and thousands of people, and cars come right through. And you know what's funny too? Cars come right down the middle of the street also. You can see the police car right there going right down the middle of the street, and people just jump out of the way. So I'm going to take you this direction up Taksim's, or actually up Istiklal Street. And this is in the direction of, it's called Taksim Square. It's sort of where everybody kind of goes to sit and relax after they've walked or taken the tram from one end of the street to the other. So one of the things I learned in the first couple days I was here is the only rule about walking through this crowd to avoid disaster is don't stop. If you stop, people don't know what to do. So you just move left, move right, but if you stop, you'll see a look of utter confusion on people's faces. And just like those cars and the pedestrians, they will make the space. If there's a tiny gap between two people, it's like their brains can just calculate that exact gap and you'll fit right through it. But the only way to screw it up is by stopping. So movement is the key. Again, you can see here cars coming from the side street, and they just have to work their way through the crowd. And at the same time, you have a trash truck on a collision course with a taxi. And it's just absolutely hilarious to me. It works. The system works, though. I've not seen a person get run over by a trash truck once. The other thing that's fascinating too is littering is absolutely accepted here, is standard, because there's really not trash cans sitting around too often. And people do just throw their trash right on the ground everywhere you go here. And the trash pickup happens every day. And every minute of every day, almost like Japan, there's somebody going around with a broom and picking up all the trash that's thrown on the ground, and it's picked up hourly almost. And there's street sweepers that come up and down the street all day long also. So while I can't quite figure out if they have that much trash pickup because littering is such a problem, or if people litter because they know there's going to be trash pickup and people sweeping it up at all hours of the day, or maybe a combination of the two. I'm not quite sure yet. So there's a repeating theme on this street and almost on every street here. And these are basically your options, which is donor, perfume, clothes, or shoes. And then in between the donor, clothes, and shoes, you have baklava. And I think if you were to weigh the amount of baklava that exists in all these shops at any given moment, it'd be about 60 tons. There's just store after store after store with baklava in these quantities. And it appears they make it fresh every day. So I don't know if there's bins and bins full of discarded baklava, but some of it, there's 50 stores, and they all have this much baklava going on at any given moment. This to me, and I've had a few now, is the best. And each one of these pieces right here costs about $2. Worth it though, incredible. So I'm not sure if you guys have seen those videos where people trick people into thinking they're grabbing an ice cream cone. This goes on for about 5 minutes. But they hand the cone, and it's either got a napkin or a double cone. And once you order an ice cream cone, it takes you about 5 minutes till you actually receive it. So off of every single, in between every building, there's a little pathway like this that leads either to a restaurant that has seating outside, or it goes on for a long ways to a bunch of different restaurants. And one thing that fascinates me about this place is that every single one of these alleyways, no matter which one you go down, no matter how far down the street or how obscure the place you think you are, they're all full. And I'm going to take you down some side streets pretty soon, and I'll show you that no matter where you go, there's no lack of business. This, by the way, is a bus full of police officers, and they're always staged up, ready for something. I haven't seen anything even remotely violent happen here, except for one thief getting caught stealing and being dragged out of the business. But I've never felt in danger here in any kind of way, but maybe that's because there's such a massive police presence. There's also military here because there's embassies all up and down the street also. So there's military and police. So maybe just people just know that it's not worth it to do anything shady here. So again, this is another side street that comes off of Istiklal. And in both directions, absolutely packed. And this is the case for every single one of these side streets. The humanity never stops. I would list corn and chestnuts, roasted chestnuts, is in the top 10 most, at least offered foods here on Istiklal Street. I don't see many people eating the chestnuts, but I've seen quite a few people eating the corn, so I think I got a pretty good business model. Like I mentioned earlier, the street sweeper comes up and down this street almost constantly, at least after sundown. And that's just a testament to how much trash needs to be swept up. It's truly unbelievable how much trash is on this street, but they do a pretty good job of cleaning it up. Again, this one car stopped to negotiate a pickup, and that's going to cause this traffic jam because there is no way around it. These are only one-width car streets. Okay, so we have reached, I guess this is the east end of Istiklal Street, and that is indicated by the flags coming to an end. This is where I've been doing my writing. They have a second and third floor up here, the espresso lab. They have a really, really nice workstation with tables with plugs. And it's also that third level up there, or actually the second level up there is, I think, the only place I've found in Istanbul where smoking isn't allowed. Okay, so now we are approaching Taksim Square. More chestnuts and corn. I actually just saw a girl eating a chestnut. It's the first time I've seen somebody eating a chestnut, so maybe there is a business for that. So Taksim Square is really just a sitting area, and it lays just beside this incredible mosque. And that's why I've been actually spending most of my, at least maybe half an hour, 45 minutes of my day inside this mosque here, or there's another one across the waterway in Faith, where I've been going and spending a decent amount of time since I've been here. This one is less restrictive. The ones in Faith don't let foreigners in during formal prayer times. This one seems to let anybody in as long as you don't act like a dickhead. So here we are. This is the end of Istiklal Street, and this is Taksim Square. And essentially, to me, it's like Times Square, but without the giant billboards and annoying people trying to sell you photos or things like that. It's really just this place to sit and relax. And again, this is 11:15 on a Saturday night, and you'll see kids here, mostly men. I've noticed there's a lot of camaraderie amongst men here. They spend a lot of time together, like this group here. But yeah, this is just a sitting area where people, I guess, talk about their day. And just loads and loads and loads of dudes and families, all locals from what I can tell. I don't see very many foreigners here. But this is where they come just to relax and wind down, I guess. And in the backdrop of this area is that mosque. At sunset, this is a really incredible place to be, especially those clouds. It's a really, really, really pretty backdrop. That's why I like to come for sunset. We're now entering the mosque I was just showing you. It's 11:15. I think they make one more call to prayer around this time. I'm not sure if they're letting people in still. I'll insert a picture that I took earlier today of the ceiling of this building. It's pretty spectacular. All right, so that was the east side of Istiklal Street. I'm going to take you to the other end now, and that end is called Galata, or Galata Tower is. It's also called Kodakoy. Kodakoy? Karakoy. Kodakoy. Karakoy. Kodakoy. It's Kodakoy. Anyways, it's where Galata Tower is, and that's also where Salt Bay's original restaurant is. You know Salt Bay? Sprinkle with salt. I haven't eaten there yet. I think I'm going to in the next few days, though, because how could I not? Anyways, Galata Tower is really gorgeous. And that's where the steepness really happens, and the streets become cobblestone, and the streets are about a 45-degree angle. And it's one of my favorite areas here, not just because of the ornateness of the buildings and the cobblestone streets, but it seems like to be an older, more traditional part of town. This is a very ritzy, bright, very obviously tourist town, or part of town. Galata is also touristy too, because there's just boatloads of people trying to get a picture in front of that tower. but the streets and the shops and the entire vibe of the place is a lot more ornate to me, and I like it a lot. It's also where I have to walk through every day to get to the other side of the water to get to my film lab. And so that's why I've been clocking about 10, 11, 12 miles a day because it's about maybe 5 miles both ways. And then I walk around, up and down these hills. I think I did 80 stories climbed yesterday, and that's just an average day because, like I said, everything here is uphill both ways. So the next view you'll have is of Galata Tower. Quick side note before we get to Galata. I said I'd never felt in danger while I was here. This to me is the sketchiest thing there is happening here in Istanbul is mussels, not on ice, just being cracked open and having some lemon squirt on it. And there's a bunch of these guys selling mussels right here on the street. And to my shock and surprise, there's actually a decent amount of people who are buying them, like this woman right here. So here we are at the west end of Istiklal, and you can see the flags come to an end. And this is one of my favorite transitions right here from an asphalt street to the bricks and cobblestone. And one of the funniest things about Istanbul to me is that every street has a theme, it seems. And it really confused me at first because I was on a street and every single store was a plumbing store. And then the next street, every single store was an electronics store. And this part of just before Galata is the music street. And so there's a ton of music stores on this little stretch of road. So this is slight calm before the storm, because just up here, about a 4 or 5 minute walk is the Galata Tower. And I don't know if I've been here this late, it's almost midnight, but I'm assuming it's still gonna be absolutely packed with people. And you can see there's still a decent amount of stores open at this hour. Food seems to always be being sold here. This to me is one of my favorite parts of this walk right here, is these views looking down the perspective of the street stretching out in front of you with these ornate buildings. I love, love, love these brick streets with cobblestone. And the perspective of these buildings stretching out from the street, so gorgeous. Again, scooters, people, and cars all share this space right here. See, almost midnight and still all these shops are still open. Okay, so this is our first view of the tower. And as I suspected, almost midnight, and it is so packed with people. But you can see why. And it is an absolutely incredible view. And this spot where I'm standing is the coveted spot where everybody wants to stand to get the picture of them with the tower in the background. And just here at the base of the tower, just on the other side of this wall, you will find Salt Bay. I haven't seen him yet. I'm not sure how popular he is anymore, or how much time he spends in this restaurant still. But I haven't spotted him yet, but hopefully I will before I leave. One thing that blows my mind that obviously happens when you go to places like Rome is how in the hell did they build this? And it's still standing all these years later. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Same with the mosques that are hundreds of years old. I just can't fathom how they have the technology or the will or the knowledge to build something like this. And nothing's taken it down in hundreds of years. Is that cat number 5? So it's just before midnight, and I've actually not really been up this late since I've been here. And I didn't really walk that much today or yesterday because I've walked over 10 miles a day for almost the entire time I've been here. But I'm kind of wired right now, and I kind of want to see what the other side of, and what's called Faith, looks like this time of night. And I want to show you where I walk across this bridge over the water. I think, is it the Black Sea, or maybe it leads to the Black Sea? But I'm going to head that way and see what we can find. I really like this little path that goes down off of this main road from Galata Tower. You walk down this way if you want to get to this this mosque that's down by the water. And this is a really, really steep path. It kind of sucks to come back up, but it's really fun to go down. Again, this is one of my favorite views walking this way from Galata is these absolutely mesmerizing buildings. There's so much character down this steep walkway. So as you get to the bottom of the hill from Galata, there's a series of these underground malls that lead to the metro. And as I suspected, they're not actually open at this time of night. It's midnight now. But during the day, these are very, very busy little shops. There's one guy working. Yeah, there's one shop open. So as you exit the underground mall and head, what is this? South? You get to this bay, and man, it's midnight, and there's damn near as many people here at this time that there is midday. And maybe that makes sense because midday it's pretty hot, and right now it's still 74-ish degrees, but slightly breezy and feels pretty good. And people take these ferries to avoid having to walk across this bridge. And that over there is Faith, and that's the mosque that you first see when you get across this bridge. And up here, I believe this is the one at the very top of the hill. And I'm gonna see if I'm still able to go there this time of night, because it's really gorgeous. So here's where we're walking from, and right up there, that's where we just came from. That's Galata Tower. And we're headed to Faith, and that is this side. But if you look this way, that little section over there is Asia. That's the Asian part of Istanbul. And all this on this side over here is the European side. So I do plan to go over there. That's called Karakoy over there. Karakoy. Son of a bitch, I don't remember. It's Karakoy. That's Karakoy. And that's the Asian side. So I do plan to go over there at some point. It's only about a 30-minute train ride, maybe. No bacon wrapped hot dogs, but they got something. So here we are, we're approaching the end of this bridge, this footpath. And how this is a spectacular view of this mosque right here. And then this up here is another really incredible mosque. And I believe up there at the very top of the hill, that might be a university, but there's also a mosque up there. I think that's the very tip of it. You can see right there. That's a pretty good hike. That's the very, very top, as far as I can tell, elevation-wise, of this side. But we'll go have a look and see what we can find. Straight up this hill right here, or just right here, is the Egyptian Bazaar. If you walk for about 20 minutes past that, you get to the Grand Bazaar. So here we are. This is another underground shopping mall. And this leads you to the Egyptian Bazaar. And it looks like they're still operating here after midnight. Or maybe they just don't have any doors to close up. Oh, most of them closed. As I suspected, this is where all the roads lead to the Grand Bazaar. And you can see a million videos online of what a zoo this place is during the day. I think this is a bit of a relief to see it completely abandoned. This has always been sort of more my style anyways. I do like a crush of people and making up stories about everybody I see. But this to me is a view, I think, of this area that you don't see very often. I mean, every single inch of everywhere I'm about to walk is absolute chaos and noise and scooters and people shouting. And there's none of that here right now. It's almost kind of reminds me of the first few weeks of the pandemic when I went to Disneyland and all these different spaces where you'd expect there to be crowds and crowds of people, and it was abandoned. That's what this feels like to me right now, because just the amount of noise and chaos that happens here during the day, this couldn't be further from it if you tried. I can't even begin to just describe how surreal this is. Every day I've come here, it's been, gotta be hundreds of thousands of people filling every inch of this space. And it is damn near absolutely abandoned. I mean, there's still old men and sneezing on the side of the street. But I mean, it's almost like going behind the facade at a theme park or something. It's just absolutely abandoned. I really love it. It's been 2 weeks of madness, and I really like this version of the city right now a lot, because there's still people out and about, but they're the wanderers like me, kind of live in the shadows. When you come across the bridge onto this side of the water into Faith, if you walk to the left and then just follow these tram tracks, it will take you directly to the Basilica Cistern. And then just past that is the Blue Mosque. And jackpot. During the day, you can't even begin to imagine what a zoo this area is. I think this little set of benches right here in front of this mosque is like top 5 selfie family portrait areas, and you have to get into a fist fight to find a spot to sit here. And even it's 12:35 right now, there's a decent amount of people here, but to be here with this level of calm and quiet, to experience the same space, is worth staying up a little bit later. Because there is something about being here with the excitement of all the people from all over the world, but the introvert part of my brain says this is about the best possible way to experience this space. How gorgeous. What a bummer. This tower right here obviously looked like that one before, and they are doing repairs at the top. It kind of reminds me when I went to Big Ben and it was all wrapped up in a cloth. But man, to have this pathway right here all to myself, I think this is more suited to the level of meditation that the space is intended for. And we got the moon right next to the tower. Come on now. You can stay up till 1 a.m. for this. Yeah, this space right here is like one of those train stations in India. Just people elbowing each other left and right to get to the mosque. I think this is what's called the Blue Mosque, if I'm not mistaken. I probably am, but I think this is called the Blue Mosque. Pretty magical. And it's, take into consideration, it's 74 degrees and slightly breezy right now. Walking all this way at this time of night is a dream compared to during the day when it's close to 90 degrees and so humid. This is a pleasure walk right now. And you can actually think. So it's just after 1 a.m. and we're approaching one of the many entrances to the Grand Bazaar. And I know I've said it before, but man, I love these streets, minus the people. It's such a different vibe. In just a few hours, this is going to be absolutely mobbed with people. You can see that looks like this is relatively recently built. This one was built in 1748. I thought that was a little bit older than that. Maybe not. So that's when you go inside. And if we're being honest, the Grand Bazaar is just a very, very old shopping mall. And that's the vibe you get inside there. It's not like it's very ornate looking on the inside. But what I like doing is walking out here in the spaces where people decide not to go in. And again, you could just look up Grand Bazaar on YouTube and you'll see what it is. It's just utter chaos, but I'm not sure how many people walk around here at 1 a.m. I really am into this. So if you ever get lost here near the Grand Bazaar or just on this part of the island, or is it an island? I don't know, is it? Whatever it is. If you ever get lost, cat, another cat. If you ever get lost, just go downhill. That's all you need to know. As long as you're going downhill, you'll end up back where you started. That is about the best advice I can give you, is downhill. When in doubt, go downhill. I was just here yesterday, and again, every inch of what you see here is just shouting, bumping, haggling, total anarchy. Every single one of these little side streets that you see is filled with people trying to sell and trying to haggle down the price of fake Louis Vuittons, fake Adidas, fake Rolexes, $2 t-shirts, and I really, really recommend walking these same streets at this time of night. It is absolutely magical. Just a quick note, it's 1:30 a.m. and look how many people are fishing on this bridge. Nearly every inch of free space is taken up, young and old. It is absolutely bustling at 1:30 a.m. And in 3 hours and 15 minutes, there's going to be a call to prayer announced on loudspeakers. It's going to wake a lot of these people up. Well, maybe they'll sleep through it because they were up so late, but either way, at 4:45 a.m., loudspeakers are going to go full blast, telling them to start praying. I'm back home. I have to show you this elevator. This is how big the elevator is. Good night. Well, that's about it. I don't think we're going to see anything else here. I'm so happy I did this. I wasn't sleepy at all today. I rested. I've walked so much the last 2 weeks. I decided to only walk 5 or 6 miles the last couple of days, but I still am so filled with energy. I just had to do this tonight. So I hope you enjoyed. Leave any comments if you have any questions. I think one of the number one questions I'm probably going to get is, do I feel safe walking around here at 1:15 a.m.? And absolutely yes. I haven't felt in danger even once on this trip. The first day I was here, I must have looked like a zombie, and a kid told me somebody tried to get my phone out of my pocket. And that's just kind of common sense. You don't keep a wallet or a phone in your back pocket sticking out. I think that's just like, dangling a carrot in front of people here who are so desperate for money. But other than that, I haven't felt one single person threaten me in any kind of way, physically or robbery-wise. It's absolutely serene here. And again, I recommend coming here during the chaos because that's a certain experience, but make it a point to come here maybe after 10 or 11 or midnight and just walk around these streets. It's a completely different experience, and I can't recommend it enough. Anyways, hopefully I'll be able to interview somebody at some point. I feel maybe I'm getting a sense of this place a little bit more, and maybe I need to branch out a little bit further from Istiklal, and maybe go over to Katakoi or something like that. But either way, hopefully I'll have an interview for you sometime soon. Hope you enjoy this. Leave me a comment if you did.